Okay guys, so coming out the ending of last week's chapter, we saw Pino activate her overdrive and then use her EMP to bring back the good version of Ziggy. And then starting in this week's chapter, we have the good version of Ziggy dropping some huge bombshell reveals. The first one I want to talk about is that he reveals why he ended up losing all his memories when he came back from the future. So it turns out when he first left planet Eden and was going to use the Eden Zero to travel back in time to Universe Zero, it turns out that apparently a chronophage attacked him just as he was about to jump back in time. Which, that actually makes sense if you think about it, because chronophages, as we already found out earlier in this arc, are connected to Rebecca's ether energy, and since they're going to be using a large amount of her ether to travel back in time to Universe Zero, it makes sense that that would end up summoning a chronophage. And since Ziggy decided to force his way through the plan despite the chronophage attacking him, it ended up blowing up the ship and sending him back in time 20,000 years into Universe 1. And when he went back in time, he ended up landing on planet Grand Bell, which at the time didn't have a name, but he ended up naming it Grand Bell because when he went back in time and woke up on the planet, he saw the Eden Zero ship exploding, and the sound of the explosion sounded like a grand bell to him. Now, because of everything that happened with the chronophage, Ziggy also ended up losing his memories of what his mission from 20,000 years in the future was. So when he woke up on Grand Bell, he didn't really have any idea who he was or what he was doing, he just knew his name. So he built a whole bunch of robots so he wouldn't be alone on the planet, and also to help him rebuild the Eden Zero. But once he rebuilt Eden Zero, he couldn't find any traces of his memory on the ship, so he just decided to stay on planet Grand Bell, and he ended up building the theme park that the planet ended up becoming. And then sometime after he built the theme park, he ended up finding out about Mother from some of the park goers and decided to go on a journey to try to find her in order to restore his memories. And it's actually on that journey that he ended up finding Shiki, but he doesn't reveal to Shiki what planet he found him on, despite Shiki demanding to know. Which, honestly, I'm a little disappointed that we didn't end up finding out about that in this chapter, because it seems like this is the perfect time for us to get the reveal of at least the planet's name. We don't need to know any other information about the planet or even what happened when Ziggy found him. It would just be nice to know exactly what the planet's name is so that we can have an idea of where Shiki and the gang are going to be going after they're done on Lendard. Now, before I get into the next big reveal, I want to talk about the Shining Stars and the Dark Stars, because based on the story that Ziggy's telling us in this chapter, assuming that is all true, that means that he created the Shining Stars and the Dark Stars. We don't know for sure about the Dark Stars, but definitely the Shining Stars before he turned evil. Which brings up the question of, now that we know the Shining Stars were all originally humans, why did he convert them from humans into androids? Because originally I had assumed that the evil version of Ziggy had just kidnapped them as humans and forced them into being androids and then wiped their memories of ever being human. But now we're finding out that all of this happened before he turned evil. So it brings up the question of why the good version of Ziggy would turn them from human into androids, and why would he erase their memories of originally being human? And I'm starting to think that maybe they knew while they were on the journey to find Mother, and it wasn't until after Ziggy erased their memories of their journey that they forgot that they were originally human. Now, the next big reveal we end up getting is that the evil version of Ziggy is actually not just like an alternate personality, it's actually a completely different person in general. So it turns out that after Ziggy died, his body got taken over by whoever that evil persona is, and that's who's been controlling his body this entire time. And in fact, the only reason why Ziggy remembers anything that happened from 20,000 years in the future and his own origin story about originally being Shiki is because this person who took over his body told him all this information while he had control of it. And this is an interesting twist that I definitely did not see coming, and it's actually reminded me a lot of Jalal's original plotline and Fairy Tail. Although this twist does actually bring up a pretty big question for me, and I might be misunderstanding things, and if I am, let me know in the comment section down below. But we found out that the good version of Ziggy is actually the one who built Pino and gave her an overdrive, and that failsafe to revert him back to being good if his evil half takes over. So if he wasn't taken over until after he died, how would he not do that? I mean, during his fight with Elsie, we did see that the good version of Ziggy was able to take control for a small amount of time, so maybe when the evil version was hacking into Pino and listening in on them, the good version was able to take control for a small amount of time and place the failsafe beside her. Now, on top of finding out that someone took over Ziggy's body, we also end up finding out that that person is currently on Lendard right now. And this is when we get the double page spread of everyone who's currently alive on Lendard, and it's definitely implying that it's one of those people. Now, I made my own list in my spoiler video about who I think it could be. I thought it could be either Sister, Nox, Clown, or Couchpo. And while I do think that those four still have a possibility of being the person, I'm now thinking that maybe the person who actually is responsible for taking over Ziggy's body is actually the future timeline version of Rebecca. What if her consciousness actually jumped into Ziggy's body and somehow got corrupted into being evil during the whole chronophage attack and going back time to Universe 1? Like, that could be a possibility, but we won't be getting a definitive answer until later on in this arc. Now, Hermit does figure out who the person is, but again, she doesn't reveal that to us in this chapter, so we're going to wait on until later in this arc to figure out exactly who it is. And then at the very end of the chapter, we cover to Elsie, who had actually broken free from her restraints, and she ends up finding both Goen and Hyoga's dead bodies. And it's not just that they're dead. Hyoga, I think, got his head cut off in this chapter. And she also ends up seeing that Jesse's body is there with him dead, which I'm a little upset that Jesse's dead, not because I like the character, fuck him, but because of the fact that with him dead, there's no way for Justice to find out about Creed's real death and actually believe it. And I feel like Hero showing us Elsie at the end of the chapter after that big reveal just to kind of give us a red herring that she is the traitor. I don't think she's going to end up being a traitor. I think that basically the way she's acting at the end of the chapter is just her finding her friends dead and then going on a warpath to figure out who killed them. But anyway guys, that's it for the video. Thanks for watching. I hope you all enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section down below who you think the traitor is, and I'd love to hear your theories on it. Anyway, that is it for the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.